The Galactic Council had underestimated humanity, again, when the Vorsian Dominion launched their final desperate attack. 60,000 automated plague ships set on collision courses with Earth. The galaxy watched with morbid fascination. The ships contained biological weapons from 1,000 conquered worlds, pathogens so virulent that entire star systems had been sterilized by mere droplets. The Vorsians, facing defeat after their 3-century war with the Council, had decided that if they couldn't have victory, they would at least have revenge against the upstart species that had turned the tide. Commander Daisy Chen stood in the Emergency Operations Center beneath Geneva, her dark eyes scanning the holographic display that showed the incoming swarm. Each red dot represented thousands of tons of hull material loaded with death itself. Impact in 72 hours, reported the AI coordinator. Planetary shields will stop the physical impacts, but molecular dispersal is guaranteed. Atmospheric saturation in 6 hours after first contact. Daisy's jaw tightened. Get me Dr. Kai Morrison. Now, across the globe in Atlanta. Kai was already running when his comm buzzed. At 34, he was the youngest director the Centers for Disease Control had ever appointed, and he'd spent the last 6 years preparing for this exact scenario. He just hadn't expected 60,000 variants at once. I'm on my way to the lab, Kai said before Daisy could speak. I saw the projections. We're going to need every medical facility on the planet. Can we do this? Daisy asked quietly. Kai paused at the laboratory entrance, his hand on the biometric scanner. Daisy, humanity survived the Black Death, Spanish flu, COVID-19, and the Mumbai Cascade. We've been fighting diseases since we climbed down from the trees. This is just a really big Tuesday. Despite everything, Daisy smiled. Get to work, Doctor. The plague ships hit Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. The shields vaporized the physical hulls, but as predicted, the molecular payload dispersed across the planet. Within 8 hours, the first cases appeared. Within 16, every human on Earth was infected with something. The galaxy watched the death counter with grim satisfaction. The Vorsians had won after all, but they hadn't accounted for human stubbornness. Kai hadn't slept since the impacts. His team of 12,000 researchers, pulled from every nation, worked in coordinated shifts analyzing the pathogens. What they found was horrifying. The Vorsians had collected diseases that worked through every conceivable vector: airborne, bloodborne, cellular corruption, neural degradation, genetic unraveling. It's like they opened a museum of biological warfare, Kai muttered, staring at his screens. Everything that ever killed anyone, anywhere. His colleague, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, highlighted a cluster of data. Kai, look at this. The pathogens are interfering with each other. The Vorsians threw everything together, but they never tested them as a combined payload. Kai leaned forward, his exhausted mind suddenly sharp. They're competing for the same cellular mechanisms, exactly. And our immune systems are going haywire trying to fight everything at once. But Yuki pulled up another chart. In 12% of cases, the immune response is actually winning because the diseases are creating bottlenecks. Kai grabbed his comm. Daisy, I need emergency authorization for distributed computing access. Every device on the planet. We're going to crowdsource a cure. Within hours, the human immune response simulation was running on 7 billion personal devices. Every quantum computer, every gaming rig, every smart appliance with processing power. Humanity had turned itself into a single, massive biological computer. The aliens watching from orbit were baffled. Why weren't the humans dying faster? The infection rate was 100%. The symptoms were devastating. But the death rate was holding at only 3%. Daisy coordinated the global response from her bunker. Every hospital had become a research center. Every patient had become a data point. Retired doctors came back to work. Medical students accelerated their training. Veterinarians, dentists, even PhD biologists found themselves on the front lines. We're seeing patterns. Kai reported on day 12. The pathogens are killing each other almost as fast as they're killing us. If we can just keep people alive long enough, their bodies will have fewer diseases to fight. That's not a cure, Daisy said. No, Kai agreed. But it buys us time to make one. The breakthrough came on day 23. A combination therapy using modified bacteriophages, targeted CRISPR treatments, and synthesized antibodies could attack entire families of the alien pathogens at once. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. The problem was production. "We need to manufacture enough for 8 billion people," Yuki said, her voice cracking with exhaustion. "The fastest pharmaceutical production lines in the world can't." "Then, we don't use pharmaceutical production lines," Daisy interrupted. She'd been listening from her command center. "Kai, can the treatment be simplified?" "What do you mean? Can it be made in, say, a brewery, a chemical plant, a university lab?" Kai's eyes widened. "You want a decentralized production. I want every facility with the right equipment making this cure. I want 1 billion hands working instead of 1,000. It was insane. It violated every regulatory protocol ever written. The risks of contamination, of incorrect dosages, of variants that might make things worse, they were astronomical." Kai looked at his data one more time, then at the global death counter ticking upward. "Send out the protocols," he said. "Open source everything. Let's teach the world to save itself." What followed was the greatest collaborative effort in human history. Factory workers became chemists. Engineers became biologists. Every community pooled their resources. The treatment protocols were translated into 6,000 languages. Video tutorials went viral. People who had never seen a microscope learned to verify purity standards. On day 31, production exceeded demand for the first time. By day 38, the death rate began to drop. On day 45, Dr. Kai Morrison stood beside Commander Daisy Chen and addressed the Galactic Council. "Via Ansible transmission, this is Earth," Kai said simply. "You tried to kill us with 60,000 plagues. We'd like to thank you for the educational opportunity." Daisy stepped forward. "We're uploading the complete cure database to the Galactic Net, free of charge. Every pathogen, every treatment, every piece of data we collected. Maybe some of your worlds lost people to these diseases. You won't have to anymore." The council chamber was silent. "You should also know," Daisy continued, her voice hard as steel, "that we've now had practice developing rapid response cures. Lots of practice. If you ever try something like this again, we'll cure it even faster. And then we'll come looking for whoever sent it." Kai pulled up a final image, a crowd of humans outside a hospital, celebrating, embracing. "Alive against all odds. We're humans," he said. "We've been fighting diseases since before we had fire. 60,000 more wasn't going to stop us. Nothing ever will." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, species that had cowered before the Vorsian plagues for centuries stared at their screens in disbelief. Humanity hadn't just survived, they'd thrived. They'd turned extinction into a learning experience. The Galactic Council updated their files on humanity with a new designation, species classification, Indomitable, on Earth. Daisy and Kai shared a tired smile. There would be years of recovery ahead, memorials to build, lessons to learn. But they had won. Because that's what humans do.